All right, welcome to another deep dive. Ready to unpack some seriously thought-provoking stuff about modern HR.
Let's do it.
I have to say, these excerpts you sent over from Human Resource Management in the Modern Workplace, this book by Alok Kumar, they really get you thinking. It's not your typical HR manual, you know?
Definitely not. I mean, have you ever read an HR book that's actually, engaging?
Not really. This one dives right into how HR has become, well, kind of a secret weapon in the business world.
It's true. And it's about time, honestly. For too long, HR has been stuck in that, administrative role. Kumar's point is that modern HR needs to be strategic. It's about aligning, people and business goals.
Yeah. He talks about creating this win-win situation where employees feel valued and, of course, the company thrives. Which brings me to one of the excerpts that I found really interesting, the one about avoiding hiring mistakes. Those decisions that lead to constant turnover and headaches.
Oh, absolutely. Kumar really nails it when he says that too many companies see hiring as just filling a slot, like checking a box,
Right.
But he flips that script and talks about finding that missing piece of the puzzle. Someone who not only has the skills, but also really fits the team and the company culture.
I love that puzzle analogy, because if you try to force the wrong piece, the whole picture gets messed up, right?
Exactly. And Kumar's point is that getting the right person in the first place can actually give you a huge advantage over your competition.
Okay, so let's break this down. How do you actually find that missing piece?
Well, first, Kumar says you need to ditch that post and pray method, just throwing up a generic job description and hoping for the best.
Oh, yeah, I've seen that happen way too often.
Right. Instead, it's about understanding the role inside and out, what success really looks like, and then targeting your search to attract the right people.
It sounds like a lot more work up front, but Kumar seems to be saying that it's an investment that pays off big time.
Definitely. And he even gives specific tips, like using those behavioral interview questions. So you get a sense of how a candidate actually handles situations, not just what they say on their resume.
So it's about digging deeper, getting a more well-rounded view.
Exactly. And that's where cultural fit comes in. Kumar really emphasizes that it's just as important as skills and experience.
Cultural fit, that's a buzzword you hear a lot these days, but how do you actually measure that during an interview? Is it just like a gut feeling?
Kumar says it should be way more intentional than that. He suggests looking for alignment between, the company's values and the candidate's motivations. He even suggests getting the whole team involved in the interview process.
So it's almost like a two-way street. The candidate is checking out the company, and the company is checking out the candidate.
Exactly. It's about finding that mutually beneficial relationship where everyone wins.
I like that. So, okay, you found the right person, you've got them in the door. Now, how do you keep them engaged and motivated? That's a whole other challenge. And Kumar seems to be a huge advocate for investing in employee development.
He is. And for good reason. He sees training and development not just as a perk, but as a strategic move.
So it's not just sending someone to a random workshop once a year and calling it a day.
Nope, it's way more deliberate than that. He lays out a whole approach, starting with identifying skill gaps, not based on assumptions, but on actual data.
Data.
Right. Then you tailor the training programs to fill those specific needs.
That makes sense. So it's a very targeted and personalized approach.
Absolutely. And it goes even further. He talks about creating this culture of continuous learning within the company. Think about mentorship programs, encouraging knowledge sharing, even rewarding employees who take the initiative to learn and grow on their own.
It sounds like he's really advocating for a complete mindset shift, both for individuals and for the company as a whole.
He is, and he argues that this shift towards continuous learning, it's not just nice to have, it's a necessity for companies to stay ahead in today's world.
Yeah, things are changing so fast, you can't just stand still.
Right. Think about a tech company that's always rolling out new software. Instead of telling employees to just figure it out, they should have a program in place to help them learn and understand why these changes are happening.
So it's about giving people the tools and the knowledge to really adapt and thrive in a constantly evolving environment.
Exactly. And that can lead to more innovation, more engagement, a more successful company overall.
Okay, so we've covered a lot about skills and training, but what about performance management? That can be a bit of a minefield in some companies.
Yeah, it can be. And Kumar really challenges the traditional view of performance reviews as these dreaded once-a-year events.
Oh, I've been there.
Right. He argues that it should be an ongoing process that focuses on growth and development, not just judgment.
So less about pointing fingers and more about working together to improve.
Exactly. And he has some really interesting strategies for making this shift. For example, he talks about setting clear goals from the start, providing regular feedback that's actually useful, and creating this culture where feedback is seen as a gift, not a punishment.
Okay, hold on. Feedback is a gift. I have to hear more about that. How do you actually make that happen?
He really emphasizes training managers to give feedback the right way. He suggests using a framework that focuses on behaviors, not personalities. So instead of saying, "You're not a team player," you might say something like, "I noticed you didn't share your progress updates with the team during that last project. How can we make that work better next time?"
So it's about being specific and solution-oriented, not just throwing out vague criticisms.
Exactly. And it goes both ways. Employees should feel comfortable giving feedback to their managers, too.
It creates that sense of ownership that we're all in this together.
Right. And Kumar argues that open and honest communication is the foundation of trust and a truly collaborative workplace.
Okay, so it's not just about feedback and goal setting. Kumar also talks about the importance of recognizing and rewarding good work.
Absolutely. And he goes beyond the traditional bonus or promotion.
Oh, so what other kinds of rewards does he suggest?
Well, he mentions things like flexible work arrangements, opportunities for professional development, even just publicly acknowledging a job well done. These kinds of non-monetary rewards can be just as valuable, especially for today's workforce.
It's about really understanding what motivates people, right?
Exactly. And this is where HR can take a more personalized approach. Getting to know your employees on a deeper level is essential for creating a workplace where people feel truly valued.
This whole conversation makes me think about company culture as a whole. Kumar dedicates a whole section to that, right?
He does. He sees a strong company culture as being absolutely essential for attracting and retaining top talent, driving innovation, and achieving success. He even calls it the secret sauce that sets a company apart.
Okay, I'm intrigued. What exactly is in this secret sauce?
Well, first, Kumar says a great culture is built on shared values. Not just words on a website, but values that everyone in the company actually lives by.
Okay, so they have to be real, not just something you say.
Right. And beyond that, he highlights open communication, trust, and respect. Employees need to feel comfortable speaking their minds, sharing ideas, even challenging the status quo.
That sounds great in theory, but how do you actually create that kind of environment, especially in big company?
Kumar suggests things like regular town hall meetings where employees can ask questions, creating opportunities for cross-departmental collaboration, even mentorship programs to connect senior leaders with newer employees.
So it's about being intentional about creating those connections.
Exactly. And it's an ongoing process. He compares it to, like, tending a garden.
You can't just plant it and forget about it.
Right. You have to nurture it if you want it to grow. And he sees a strong company culture as one of the most valuable assets a company can have.
This is all fascinating stuff, and it's clear that Kumar sees company culture as much more than just a fluffy perk. It's a core part of a successful business.
Absolutely. And he doesn't just talk about where HR is now, he also looks ahead to the future. One of the biggest trends he talks about is this focus on leadership development, and not just for managers.
Oh, so you're talking about developing leadership skills at all levels of the company.
Exactly. He says that companies need to cultivate those skills in everyone, empowering them to take ownership and drive innovation from wherever they are in the organization.
This emphasis on developing leaders at all levels is really interesting, especially with how quickly things are changing these days.
Absolutely. He argues that those qualities, like being adaptable and leading through uncertainty, are essential for companies to survive and thrive in the future.
Wow, so it's not just about staying competitive, it's about staying in the game at all.
Right. And that's not the only trend he sees.
Okay. What else does he highlight?
Another big one is the changing demographics of the workforce. We have multiple generations working side by side, all with their own values, expectations, and ways of working.
That's definitely true. So how does Kumar suggest companies navigate this multi-generational workplace?
He says it's crucial to create an inclusive and welcoming environment for people of all backgrounds. That means things like offering flexible work arrangements, providing different types of training programs, and really understanding what matters to each generation.
So it's about recognizing that one size does not fit all when it comes to your workforce.
Exactly. And he sees this focus on diversity and inclusion as being essential for attracting and retaining top talent in the future.
So it's not just the right thing to do, it's good business sense.
Precisely. And you can't talk about the future of HR without talking about technology.
Oh, technology, it's changing everything these days.
It is. Kumar talks about how technology is transforming HR in so many ways, from using data analytics to understand employee trends and make better hiring decisions, to using online platforms for things like recruiting and training. He even talks about artificial intelligence automating some HR tasks.
Wow, that's a lot to wrap your head around. It seems like technology is changing how companies find, manage, and develop their workforce.
It is, and Kumar thinks this trend is only going to get bigger in the coming years. He says HR professionals who are tech-savvy and embrace these new technologies, they're going to be the ones who really succeed.
So HR is not just about managing people, it's about understanding and using technology too.
Right, and he sees this as a huge opportunity for HR to become even more strategic and impactful within companies.
Okay, wow, we've covered so much ground here. Kumar's book really paints a complete picture of what modern HR looks like, and he doesn't shy away from the challenges and opportunities that are out there. But before we wrap up this part of our deep dive, what's really stood out to you the most?
You know, what's really struck me is how Kumar keeps bringing it back to the human element. Even when he's talking about things like data and technology, he always emphasizes the importance of understanding people, building relationships, and creating a workplace where everyone feels valued.
That's such a great point. It's so easy to get lost in the data and the processes, but at the end of the day, HR is all about people.
Exactly.
Well said. I think that's a perfect place to pause for now. We've covered so much, but there's still so much more to unpack in Kumar's book.
I agree. I'm ready to dive even deeper.
As we dig deeper into Kumar's ideas, one thing that's really sticking with me is this whole focus on employee well-being. It's like companies are finally realizing that happy and healthy employees are, well, just better employees.
It is interesting, isn't it? It's like we've moved beyond just, productivity and profits. There's this understanding that employees are whole people, They have lives outside of work.
Right.
And those lives, they definitely affect how they perform, their creativity, their well-being overall.
It makes you wonder why it took so long, Was it all just about the bottom line before? Did companies just not get the human element?
I think that's part of it. But there's also more and more research showing how employee well-being is directly linked to business success. It's not just being nice, it actually makes good business sense.
So, happier employees, better results for the company. It's a win-win.
Mm-hmm.
But what does this focus on well-being actually look like in real life? Is it just like ping pong tables and free snacks?
It's more than that, although those can be nice perks. Kumar talks about a more holistic approach, like flexible work arrangements, for example, that can really reduce stress and help people balance work and life.
Oh yeah, flexible work is definitely becoming more popular. But Kumar goes beyond that, right? What else does he talk about?
He talks about creating a culture that supports mental health. That could mean offering things like counseling services or even just encouraging open conversations about mental health in the workplace.
I think that's so important, especially these days. There's less stigma around mental health, and it's good to see companies being more proactive.
I agree. And Kumar also emphasizes physical health, too. He talks about things like offering healthy food options at work or having fitness classes. It's about making it easier for people to make healthy choices.
It's like companies are realizing that taking care of their employees' well-being is an investment in their own success.
Exactly. And it's not just about policies and programs. It's about the leaders setting the example. When leaders prioritize their own well-being and show healthy behaviors, it sends a message to everyone else.
That makes sense. Lead by example. But let's be honest, sometimes those well-being initiatives can feel a little, superficial. How do companies actually measure the impact? Is it all just anecdotal?
That's where data comes in. Kumar really emphasizes how modern HR is all about data. He talks about tracking things like employee engagement, stress levels, even absenteeism.
So it's not just relying on gut feelings. It's about looking at the numbers. But what kind of data are we talking about here? Is it surveys or are there more sophisticated methods?
It can be both. Surveys are still common, but companies are using other things too, like wearable technology to track sleep patterns and activity levels.
Wow, that's high tech. But I can see how having that data could help companies tailor their well-being programs to what their employees actually need.
Exactly. And it's not just for well-being programs. Kumar talks about using data to make better decisions in all areas of HR, from hiring and talent management to, compensation and benefits.
So it's about using data to be more strategic and make decisions based on evidence.
Right. This data-driven approach helps HR be more proactive so they can anticipate problems and come up with solutions before things get out of hand.
Like having a crystal ball for your workforce.
Kind of. And Kumar thinks this data-driven approach is going to be essential for HR to stay relevant and have a real impact in the future.
Speaking of staying relevant, one of the excerpts you sent over that really caught my attention was about diversity and inclusion in the workplace. It seems like companies are finally getting that it's not just about checking boxes, it's about creating a truly inclusive environment.
Absolutely. Kumar sees diversity and inclusion as a strategic must-have, not just a nice-to-have. He says a diverse workforce brings so many different perspectives and ideas, which leads to better innovation and decision-making.
That makes sense. But it's not enough to just have a diverse workforce on paper, right? You need to create a place where everyone feels valued and respected, where they can contribute their talents.
Exactly. He talks about fostering a sense of belonging, where everyone feels like they can be themselves and their voices are heard. And he talks about addressing unconscious bias and creating equal opportunities for everyone.
These are all important things, but how do you actually put them into practice? What are some things companies can do to create a more inclusive workplace?
Kumar suggests a lot of strategies, like using blind recruitment processes to reduce bias in hiring, creating mentorship programs that connect people from different backgrounds, and having diversity and inclusion training.
So it's a multi-pronged approach, addressing both the structural and cultural aspects of inclusion.
Exactly. And he emphasizes that it's not a one-time thing. It takes ongoing effort and a willingness to learn and adapt.
It's a journey, not a destination. And it sounds like HR plays a big part in that journey.
Absolutely. He sees HR as the champion for diversity and inclusion. HR professionals have a unique opportunity to shape the culture and create a workplace where everyone can thrive.
This is all really inspiring. But what does it mean for the individual employee? How do we navigate our careers in this new world of work?
That's a great question, and Kumar addresses that too. He says it's crucial to take ownership of your own career development. You can't just wait for your company to give you the training you need. You have to be proactive and seek out opportunities to learn and grow.
So it's about being self-directed and taking initiative, not just waiting for someone to tell you what to do.
Right, and that's where things like online learning platforms, networking, and mentorship programs come in.
It's about taking control of your own career, right? But it can feel overwhelming. How do you even know where to start?
Kumar suggests figuring out what your strengths and passions are, and then looking for opportunities that match those. He also talks about building a network of mentors and peers who can support you.
So it's about being strategic and intentional, but also recognizing that you don't have to do it all alone.
Absolutely. And he also emphasizes being adaptable and flexible. The world of work is changing so fast, and the skills that are in demand today might not be the ones needed tomorrow. So you have to be willing to learn new things and embrace change.
So it's not just about what you know, it's about your ability to learn and adapt.
Exactly. And that's where having a growth mindset can really make a difference.
Oh, the growth mindset.
Yeah.
It's a buzzword, but I'm not always sure what it means practically.
Kumar says it's the belief that you can develop your abilities through effort and learning, that they're not fixed. It's about seeing challenges as opportunities to grow, not as roadblocks.
So it's about embracing the learning process even when it's tough.
Exactly. He thinks a growth mindset is essential for navigating your career and achieving success in the long run.
That's a great way to think about it. But it's not all on the individual, right? What can companies do to foster that growth mindset in their employees?
He talks about creating a culture that encourages experimentation and learning from mistakes. It's about providing opportunities for people to stretch themselves and take on new challenges.
So it's about making it safe to fail and seeing learning as an ongoing process.
Exactly. And he believes that kind of culture is key for attracting and keeping great talent, driving innovation, and achieving lasting success.
Wow, this has been such an insightful conversation. Kumar's book really covers a lot, from the big trends shaping the future of work to the more personal side of career development. And it's clear that HR is right at the center of all of this.
I agree. It's an exciting time to be in HR, and it's clear that the profession is changing rapidly to meet the challenges and opportunities of this new world of work.
But before we move on to the last part of our deep dive, I'm curious about your perspective. We've talked about how HR is changing, but what about the role of the employee? How do we as individuals need to adapt and evolve to thrive in this new world of work?
That's a really important question. I think one of the biggest shifts we need to make is in our mindset. We need to move away from that old way of thinking about work as just a transaction. I do the work, you pay me. We need to embrace a more collaborative approach that's focused on growth.
So it's about seeing ourselves as partners in the success of the company, not just as someone filling a role.
Exactly. That means being proactive about our own development, looking for opportunities to learn and grow, and being willing to go above and beyond our job description.
That's a challenge, but it's exciting too. It's about taking control and shaping your own career.
It is, and it's about recognizing that work is not just about a paycheck. It's about finding meaning and purpose in what you do.
I think that's a great place to pause for now. We've covered so much, but there's still more to explore in Kumar's book.
I agree. I'm ready to dive even deeper into some of the more nuanced and thought-provoking ideas in the final part of our deep dive.
As we wrap up our deep dive into Kumar's book, I keep coming back to this idea of the human in HR. It's easy to get caught up in all the data, the processes, the technology, but in the end, it really is all about people, isn't it?
It really is. And that's one of the things I appreciate most about Kumar's book. He's always reminding us that HR is not just about managing resources. It's about connecting with people, understanding what motivates them, and creating a workplace where they can actually thrive.
And he's pretty clear that this requires a different skill set than, say, traditional HR might have focused on.
Mm-hmm.
What does he say about the qualities that are essential for, the modern HR professional?
He talks a lot about empathy, emotional intelligence, and strong communication skills. Those are just as important as, the technical expertise when it comes to building trust, dealing with conflict, and creating a positive work environment.
Makes you wonder if we need to, rethink how we train HR professionals, right?
Yeah.
It's not just about the rules and regulations anymore. It's about cultivating those human skills.
I think so. And it's especially important now with the rise of remote work and these hybrid models. Building strong relationships and that sense of connection, it's more important than ever.
Yeah, you don't have those casual interactions in the office anymore. You have to be more deliberate about connecting.
Exactly. And technology can help, but it's about using technology to make those connections stronger, not to replace them altogether. Kumar talks about things like virtual team building activities, online mentorship programs, even just encouraging people to do video calls to stay connected.
It's almost like we have to work harder to be human in this, increasingly digital world.
I think that's true in a way, but it's a good challenge to have. When you create a workplace where people feel connected and supported, that's when you see amazing things happen.
I like that. It reminds me of another concept Kumar talks about, this idea of employee advocacy. What's his take on that?
Kumar sees it as a really powerful way to build up a company's reputation, attract great talent, and even boost morale. His point is that when employees are truly happy and engaged, they naturally become ambassadors for the company.
Like word-of-mouth marketing, but amplified.
Yeah, but he also warns that it can backfire if it feels forced or fake.
Right.
He's really clear that it should always be voluntary and genuine. It's about creating a culture where people feel empowered to share their positive experiences, but also where they feel safe to raise concerns or offer feedback.
So it's about transparency and authenticity.
Yeah.
Not just trying to put on a perfect image.
That's it. And when it's done right, it can be a win for everyone. It makes the company look good, it keeps employees engaged, and it creates a more positive environment overall.
I'm curious, does Kumar offer any advice on how companies can actually encourage and support employee advocacy? Are there specific things they can do?
He does. He suggests giving employees clear guidelines and resources for sharing their experiences online, having internal channels where they can share stories and celebrate successes, and even offering incentives or recognition for those who actively promote the company.
So it's about building a culture where advocacy is valued, but where it's done in a way that feels authentic and true to the company's values.
Exactly. And that idea of authenticity is so important. Because people can see right through something that's not genuine, If your employees aren't really happy, no amount of marketing is going to hide that.
As we're wrapping up our deep dive, it's amazing to think about how much we've covered. We've talked about everything from how HR is changing to employee well-being, diversity and inclusion, using data to make decisions, and even the future of work itself.
It's been a lot, and I think it shows just how much Kumar covers in this book. He really goes deep into all the different facets of modern HR.
And I still feel like we've just scratched the surface.
Me too. It's a book you could read multiple times and still find new insights.
It really is. And I think it's a must-read for anyone who works with people.
Yeah.
Whether you're an HR, a manager, or even a business owner.
I agree completely. It's a book that I'll be thinking about for a long time.
And as we close out this deep dive, I want to leave our listeners with something to think about. Kumar gives us a ton of information and practical strategies, but it's not a cookie-cutter solution, right? Every company is different, every workforce is unique, and what works in one place might not work somewhere else.
That's such an important point, and I think that's where the true skill of HR comes in, being able to take these ideas and make them work for your specific situation.
It's about being creative, trying new things, and figuring out what works best for your company and your people.
Exactly. It's about constantly learning, adapting, and staying ahead of the curve as the world of work keeps changing.
This deep dive has been so fascinating, and I have to say, Human Resource Management in the Modern Workplace by Alok Kumar has given us a lot to think about.
I agree. It really has.
And to all of you listening, as we wrap up this episode, we encourage you to think about your own workplace, your career, your role in shaping the future of work. What can you do right now to create a more positive, productive, and fulfilling work environment, both for yourself and for the people around you?
That's a great question to reflect on. And it's something we all need to consider as we navigate this new world of work.
Until next time, keep diving deep.